Hi everyone, I'm Iris Rios here on Channel 39. Today we have a special guest here in the studio. Our guest, Danny Nichols, created an organization called Operation Open Water that uses aquatic activities as a form of healing. Danny, can you tell us about this organization?
Yeah, so Operation Open Water originally started as a community of veterans, first responders, and surfers who wanted to use water as a medium to promote wellness. And we had been working together to teach veterans how to surf in Huntington Beach for a few years, and we had seen this beautiful community kind of come together with our first responders, and we really wanted to kind of bridge the gap.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Operation Open Water really started with, paddleboarding, right? And just getting on the water, spending some time together.
What about specifically using the ocean as an instrument for healing? What made you think of that?
Yeah, well, the ocean is a power greater than ourselves. Not to get too technical, but the Earth is 73% water, and there is a power out there that is there's just raw power out there, right? And so with the ocean, you can't control the elements, right? So you have to surrender to the elements. The only thing that you can control is your attitude and your actions, right? And so that creates a reference point for all of us to let go and become one with the ocean. And there's a lot of healing that takes place just in taking that step.
Got it. And just if you can, what does the process look like? What would your primary role be in it as well?
So with Operation Open Water, my role has kind of, I guess, more of a founder role. I guess I'm just kind of the conduit that help bridge the gap between our veterans, our first responders, and our local community. And, with our veteran community and our first responder community, there is a lot of stress, overstimulation, and trauma that comes with the job. And from our experience with teaching wounded veterans how to surf, the ocean is a very healing place that creates balance.
Nice. And what would you say makes it all worth it for you?
The stoke. It's a surfing phrase for just feeling great. I don't know. As a surfer, majority of us go out just to get wet. We either start our day in the water or we end our day in the water to kind of rinse the day away. It is a place where you can go out. Everything that was on land, you can leave there. And when you go in the water, you don't have time to think about, what was work like and all that other stuff, because you're so focused on where the wave's going to break, how do I get in the right spot?
You're in that moment.
Yeah, you're present. You're present.
Alrighty. And then what would you say would be the hardest factor in one word?
Learning to surf. That's 3 words, but if you've never surfed before, trying to lay down and balance on a board is tough.
Got it.
Trying to push through the whitewash.
Got it. We do have to go to a break, but do stay around to hear the stories on Operation Open Water and how it's been helping veterans and first responders.
Saddleback College enriches its students and the South Orange County community by providing a comprehensive array of high-quality courses and programs. We foster student learning and success in the attainment of academic degrees and career technical certificates, transfer to 4-year institutions, and improvement of basic skills. We dedicate ourselves to excellence in academics, student support, and community service. We hope Saddleback College will be your first choice.
Welcome back to OC Spotlight on Channel 39. We are currently here in the studio with Danny Nichols to hear how his program, Operation Open Water, has used the ocean to help heal many veterans and first responders. Danny, do you think you can tell us, the viewers, about the wonderful stories of success that's come from it?
Yeah, I mean, on Veterans Day, we did a channel crossing from Catalina to Huntington Beach. It was roughly 32 miles, and it was a group of veterans, first responders, and surfers doing the channel. And one of our veterans was training in Texas in his family's pond and didn't have much experience in the ocean. And so it was a great opportunity for us to mentor him across, work together as a group to accomplish something that was very challenging. And so that was kind of like our proof of concept to take this thing to another level.
Nice. And then, I mean, obviously as a founder, you've seen so much, just so much happen in this time. What do you think is next for Operation Open Water?
Yeah, so our next step is we're doing a first responder surf camp next week. And that's an opportunity for our veterans to give back and say thanks to those who serve and protect our communities. And it's an opportunity for our local community to come together and share the love of surfing in the ocean with our first responders.
Nice. And then would you have any words of encouragement for people who sort of the same thing, they want to help other people with just things like this, but they don't know how to start or even where to go?
Well, just from my own experience, what I've learned is that the more you give, the more you receive.
Yeah.
And so, my life is much fuller as a result of focusing on giving back. And, our unique little niche is that, we're bridging the gap between our veterans and our first responders, and we're using large bodies of water like the ocean to, promote wellness and healing.
Nice. What would be one of the hardest factors for Operation Open Water?
Just getting everybody together, because there's a lot of people, and it's the
scheduling
logistics
and everything like that. Okay. Well, that was really great to hear. I'm super happy that you guys are doing well, and you're gonna have something happening soon. But we are out of time though, so thank you for being on our show, and thank you for everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. From Saddleback Studios, I'm your host, Brody Bogert on OC Spotlight, Channel 39. On today's show, we have a very special guest joining us in our studio. Please welcome 18-year-old local car builder, Martin Piero. Thanks for joining us, Martin. How you doing?
Good, glad to be here.
Good to hear. So recently, I know that you've been working on cars for a long, long time, but you've, in the last 3 years, had this Datsun 280 that you've been working on. Can you just tell me a little bit about kind of the journey that you've been on with your Datsun and how that got all started?
Yeah, so I got the Datsun almost 3 years ago exactly, on the dot almost, and I've been building it from nothing since then, just like a shell up. So I've had to build everything from the brakes to the transmission to the engine to the suspension to having to wire it 3 or 4 times before I got it right. And man, I've gone through pretty much everything in that car at least once or twice before considering it done for now. Everything's just a revisit project, but it's been slowly improving.
How long did it take you to actually get the thing running?
So it wasn't mobile for probably about the first year and a half. So that's when it was getting everything apart and really kind of assembling it back together. And then we were able to get it driving about a summer after, so it was nice to have it on the road then. That was extremely gratifying, that's for sure.
Yeah, that must be a good feeling, finally, getting to drive something that you've, literally put all of your heart and soul into.
Makes it worth it, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, so, you've been doing all this work, and it's hours and hours of working on this thing. What kind of inspired you to put yourself in that position, and what specifically drew you to that Datsun?
So I personally was lucky enough to have a interest in building and taking things apart, fostered as a young kid. by my parents, and they really supported that. And I've had great groups of friends that have helped really direct my interest into cars. And then that kind of worked out to deciding that I wanted to take on a project for myself. And so after about a year and a half of switching and going through phases, thinking I'm gonna get this car and this car and this car, I finally went to go check out a car that one guy was selling. He was kind of clearing out his lot. And while looking at that car, I took a peep into his garage and I saw the Datsun that I ended up buying and asked him about it. And it turns out it wasn't even his. He was just keeping it for someone, and they were willing to sell it to me. So that was fortunate enough to get that project.
Wow, that's incredible. Did you just like wheel it out on a flatbed? It wasn't running, was it?
Yep, nope, didn't have anything in it, and signed up for a much bigger project than I thought it was. But seeing it on the flatbed arrive back at my house, it was too exciting not to just get started.
It's incredible. So like, what would you kind of advise someone who's trying to get into the project car world? What would you say to them, like just one little kind of bit of advice?
I'd say just buy a project. Just have something that you need to work on. Or like the thing that made me work on it so much is this is my car. I'm not gonna be able to drive a car if I don't have this car. So that helped motivate me to keep on it. So I'd say if anyone wants to take on that, they really just get one and commit.
So that was gonna be your first car, right? It was like,
oh yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That's incredible. So you've just been kind of like trying to get it running ever since then. Did you ever like drive it to school, do anything like that?
Yeah, I was able to drive it to school for like the last couple of years of last year of high school, and that was nice and made it kind of makes you feel better. It makes it worth it, and you feel cool driving around a car you built. And so it makes it a little bit sketchy because you got to put a lot of trust in your ability, especially when it's such a large and deadly thing. But it worked out.
Well, perfect. Well, we do actually have to go to a commercial break now, but we're going to take just a quick break before we continue with the rest of the story, of course. So be sure to stay tuned, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thanks for staying tuned, OC Spotlight viewers. And if you are just tuning in, I am Brody Bogert with Channel 39 on OC Spotlight. And here with me is Martin Piero, a young and local race car builder. So Martin, on this long and kind of painful journey you've had with the Datsun at times, has there ever been a point where you've thought, maybe I've made the wrong decision and maybe thought about quitting?
See, when I signed up for the car and I bought that project, I kind of had in mind that I wasn't going to be able to back out. I was putting money into something that wasn't going to give me money back for sure, only drain it. Wouldn't be able to sell it for more. So taking on that big commitment really made it so I never really had any regrets along the way. But I'd say there was definitely times doing all the meticulous things like sanding and wiring or shaping and stuff like that that'll really drive you insane. But luckily when that kind of stuff happens, you're able to take a day and sit and think on it and then come back to it. And when you really drive yourself crazy, you can take that rest and then revisit it in like a couple days sometimes even. So it gives a nice refreshment.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you have obviously this perseverance and this passion for cars. What do you kind of look to do with that in the future?
So I'm very fortunate to be able to foster this love of building my whole life, and I'm definitely going to be a hobbyist for life. So honestly, I'm just looking to improve my abilities in my craft right now and just keep learning as much as I can and just get more familiar with cars, because it seems like once you know a lot and once you feel comfortable, you go and talk to someone that just knows so much more than you're like, wow, I can learn so much more about these vehicles or just even whatever you're building or whatever you're working on. So just looking to improve that.
Yeah. How has kind of knowing all of these things about like basic mechanics and that sort of really influenced like your daily life?
Well, number one, a lot of people ask me to help them with their cars. And number two, I'd say I've been really able to apply my thought process of breaking something down and building it back up together to start to understand things. And I approach a lot of things in life like that. So I'll see why it works and why it's functioning, to get an understanding of why it is the way it is. So I think that's been able to translate well.
It's very good stuff. Has there ever been like kind of a spot where you've thought like, wow, this is like really something that's very specifically like this is like something that I've learned working on the Datsun that's actually like help you out like just in kind of a bind?
Just keeping track of your car's maintenance. When I was driving that thing around, it was times where I would just suddenly stop working.
I'm sorry. Well, actually, that does look like all the time that we have for today. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And I'm Brody Bogert. Thank you so much for tuning in to OC Spotlight.
Hello and welcome to OC Spotlight. Today I'm your host Jacob Shapiro and today's guest is Ryan Spicer. Ryan here is an Ohio-born content creator who now lives in sunny Southern California. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Welcome, thanks for being here. So first question for you is someone from Ohio coming to California, what is it like living here for you?
Yeah, it's beautiful, and out of all the places I've went around the country, LA always stuck out to me. Mm-hmm. And it was just it's a lifestyle more than a vacation spot. That's
Absolutely.
What really attracted me to it.
Media center of the world.
Absolutely.
In some places. Yeah, so going back to Ohio, talk to me about the Ohio music scene.
Yeah, it's exciting to see it growing, mm-hmm. and it was cool to see where it kind of started and came from, and being involved in that process as well. And it's been really special.
Cool, like kind of documenting that from its beginnings to
Absolutely.
Its rise, and
working
right
with
now where it is.
Certain artists, and
right on.
Yeah, it's been great.
Cool. So, what motivated you when you were in Ohio to do a concert for breast cancer awareness?
So I mean, the breast cancer aspect hit home. It was a personal thing, and to do the concert, it honestly just kind of came to me. I was so young. I was just sitting there like, what can I do? I just felt like I was able to do things, and I wanted to do things, and like, what could I do? And I just was able to obtain the funding that I needed, and was able to just put it on, make it happen.
That's great. And you also told me that it was your second concert at that venue, ever. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was cool to see how well it turned out, and it was cool to show my family and my sisters. It was their first concert they ever went to. You know what I mean?
Right on. Cool. So how successful were these shows?
They were successful. The first one was lightweight huge though. It was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the second one was cool too, and a lot of learning experience as well that helped me.
Cool. When you moved from Ohio to West Virginia, did you do another concert?
Yeah, I did. So it took me like a few years to really make it happen. Just a couple years of like talking to people, taking meetings, and everything like that. But finally, my junior year, I was able to sign contracts with the county for the space that I wanted.
Great.
And
did you find any difficulties in funding from Ohio to West Virginia?
Yeah. So in Ohio, I only had one sponsor that funded the whole thing, and for this one, I basically I knew I had to find a lot of funding from a lot of different people.
Right,
and I was able, to work, and I just found out that I work well in high pressure, tight deadline situations.
Right down to the button.
Exactly. So I was able to get the funding that I needed to pull it off.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any plans or any thoughts about maybe an LA show in the near future?
Yeah, everywhere I've stayed for an extended period of time, I've ended up doing an event so far.
Fantastic.
So it's definitely been a thought of mine to do one here.
Well, great. That sounds like an excellent idea. Tell me in one word what those experiences meant to you.
Yeah, it was. Journey.
Journey.
Yeah,
right on.
It put me off on my journey for real.
Great. That's really. It's good that it's important to you to be able to share something like that with people.
For sure.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
All right. So, tell me what it's like in LA. In a couple words.
It's been busy. It's cool networking with a lot of people that do similar things, or people that could help me or I could help.
That's great. Fantastic.
Our
so going on to networking, we'll hear back from Ryan after our commercial break. So stay tuned to OC Spotlight for more. Thanks for watching. Cool.
Yeah.
Good segue. Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked hearing about the concert venue because that was really cool.
Saddleback College enriches its students and the South Orange County community by providing a comprehensive array of high-quality courses and programs. We foster student learning and success in the attainment of academic degrees and career technical certificates, transfer to four-year institutions, and improvement of basic skills. We dedicate ourselves to excellence in academics, student support, and community service. We hope Saddleback College will be your first choice.
Welcome back, everyone, to OC Spotlight. I'm Jacob Shapiro, your host, and we're back with our guest, Ryan Spicer. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you.
So talk to me. When did you start connecting with Warner Brothers Music Department?
Yeah, so I partnered up with an artist coming out of Cleveland, making a lot of noise, probably the biggest artist in Ohio at the time coming up. And we partnered together and worked for 6 months, and we were able to sign a deal with Warner Records.
Great, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I was told that you had a chance to meet Drake Bell from the show Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
What was that like, and did that help you build a larger network?
Yeah, the main thing that I got from him was to meet his manager, Tim, who was from Akron, Ohio.
Cool.
And actually helped me on my next chapter.
Fantastic. Ohio connections everywhere.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, so talk to me about how Tim introduced you to the band The Catching, and talk to me how it was like to mix it up with a rock band.
Yeah, so we had just kept up with each other for a couple years, like over social media. And when he got with a new band and they were going on tour, that intrigued me. I always wanted to do the same thing with another genre,
Get
like
that
rock.
kind of experience in a new place. Yeah.
Exactly, and so the opportunity opened up where I could help out, and we did that.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your LA plans. Tell me about what you got going on. I heard you got a magazine.
Yeah, so basically I'm really focused on building out my media and production company, and we have a magazine launching next month inside of all the neighborhoods in Calabasas, and it's the community magazine, and we're basically, that's how I'm deciding to build the foundation for my media company. There's
Fantastic.
other options I could have chosen, but yeah, I think it's the most organic way to do it.
Yeah, it seems like a good way to connect a lot of people, because
Absolutely.
magazines these days aren't as big as they were, but to really bring that back to that kind of environment is
Absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah. Print is really big in those kind of environments. They appreciate it more than social media, and a lot of those people are too old for social media, to
Yeah.
be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Magazines are also a great way to collect things that you like
sure.
back in the day with rock magazines and that kind of stuff. So that's a really cool way to engage with people on that level, on that community kind of level.
Yeah,
So
but we do also deal with social media marketing and productions as well.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for telling me all about that. If you could tell me in a couple words what this experience has been for you, like the whole from Ohio to West Virginia to here, what would they be?
It's been really special, and pretty much everything that I sought out to do.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Ryan you can find him on Instagram at RyanXSpicer. Thanks for checking out OC Spotlight this week. I'm your host, Jacob Shapiro, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, and welcome back to South Orange County. I'm your host, Azada Stabanati from OC Spotlight here on Channel 39. On tonight's showcase, we have a very special guest. We will be tackling a topic that affects a large percentage of our society's mental health. Tonight's guest is a Saddleback student, Jamal Brown. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and I'm going to get straight into it. So, could you please give me a brief description of how you got into therapy and mental health?
Well, I got into therapy because I needed somebody to talk to who was not biased. Like, I just needed somebody to listen and to give me positive feedback.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. And I just felt like it was important because I work out my body. I wanted to make sure I keep my mind intact as well.
All right. And what would you say motivated you to go and get help from therapy or anything like that?
Because I see people and I say, damn, that person really needs therapy, because I just know that they do. Like, people dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, they don't know how to get through it, and they need help. They need somebody to talk to. And I might not be the person to talk to. You might not be the person to talk to. They need a professional to get through all of this stuff that they're going through. Could be family problems, could be drug problems, could be alcohol problems, could be self-esteem problems. You need somebody to process that with.
Of course, yeah. Now, do you see any solution to the drug problem that has a black cloud over South Orange County?
One solution is stop doing drugs that you're not supposed to be doing. If they're not prescribed by the doctor, don't do them.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Another thing is there needs to be more programs and places for people to go who need help with their drug problem or alcohol problem or problems with addiction, period.
Now, why do you think drug and alcohol have had such a devastating impact in such an affluent area like ours?
Because in areas like this is where people have a lot of money. It's a lot of spoiled little kids running around. They're in their daddy's bank account. They're in their grandma's purse, taking her pills and just doing a lot. Because the media will show you like Compton or some dangerous part of New York, the Bronx or something, and make it seem like that's where the drug problem is at, when it's not. There's a lot of junkies walking around here in nice cars and big houses, and they look pasty when they come out the house.
All right. Now, do you think mental health issues lead to substance abuse?
Yeah, because people are looking for ways to get out of that bubble that they're stuck in. They could be stuck in something. They're looking for some release. So instead of going to get help and getting prescribed the medication to get your mind right, they feel like, well, if I have a drink or if I take a little bit of this, if I hook up with the crew and then we get high off of this or whatever you're doing, then that's their relief for the moment. But not knowing whenever you come down off your high, you wake up in the morning, you still gonna have the same issues that you had prior to getting high and doing whatever you out there doing.
Yeah, of course. Now, Jamal, we appreciate you taking time out to help us understand why these are important topics. We are going to take a commercial break. We will be right back with a quick commercial break and some more questions. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you for staying tuned through the break. I'm your host, Azada Sabanati, and this is Jamal Brown with me, a local student here at Saddleback College. Jamal, I have a question for you. How often have you seen people lose everything because of mental health and drug problems?
Well, I've been around for a while, so I saw people from all the way from the crack era to now lose everything. They start out maybe doing these things recreational, and then it turns into something that becomes a problem for them, and then next thing you know, they're selling off their stuff. I'm at the gas station in Lake Forest. This guy pulls up in his Benz. Looks like he's supposed to be going to handle business. It's early in the morning. He hops out. He looks crazy. He's trying to sell me watches. That is an example of somebody who's on their way down. Next thing you know, he'd be selling his car title. and maybe his house or losing his family, because, you know, I mentioned material items, but you don't want to start losing your family and people have faith in you, and losing your friends and people not wanting to be bothered with you because you too busy trying to get high.
Yeah, of course. Now, what do you say to people who are afraid to seek out and get help and don't want other people to think that, I don't know, whatever that means for them? What do you think, what do you say to those people?
You got to be real with yourself. Like, if you need help, you need help.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's telling, like, I'm cut from a different cloth, so I can care less about what you think about what I'm doing for myself, because you're not going to do it for me. A lot of people who might tease you, or you might think, a lot of people are getting help you don't even know. A lot of people have therapists. A lot of people have psychiatrists. It is super important for you to maintain good mental health. You know, like, for people who think somebody's gonna think down on them, I don't care less about what anybody else thinks about what you have to do for yourself. I have to do for me what I have to do for me. So I have choice words for those people that I can't say right now on this show.
Now, do you have any quick success stories? Just a quick one?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who was all the way down at the bottom. Now he's got his family back. He just had a new kid. He's got a great career, not a job, a career. He's making a lot of money.
Alrighty.
And he's doing well.
Sounds good. Now, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Jamal. And today, that was our issue. And I'm your host, Azada Sabanati, and that's it for us tonight.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of OC Spotlight on Channel 39. I'm your host, Jack Holmes, and today we are joined by a special guest. He's a professional illustrator that has gotten the opportunity to work for popular comic companies and continues to do commission work. Please welcome Daniel Blue Rodriguez. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for coming.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Not too bad.
Why don't you introduce us to yourself and let us know what you do?
Oh, my name is Daniel Blue Rodriguez. I work on commission work, comic book work, pretty much any kind of illustration that you need.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you have a commission business.
Correct.
So you commission drawings for people, or people commission drawings from you. How does your business work? Can you tell us a little bit more
So
about
basically we have, I have people contact me, tell me what they want, color, not color, inks, pencils, whatever they need. And then from there, we work out a price. I do have set prices for each thing, and then we go from there.
that? Okay. And so a lot of your work doing commissions is focused on Dungeons and Dragons.
Right now, it's my bread and butter, yes.
Yes. What made you decide to focus on this?
Honestly, it was the just incredible thoughts of the people. Everybody's so original. Everybody has characters that they like to have that they do. So a big feel for me is doing things that are original. You can draw a million different Spider-Mans, you know, but it's always Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the more original the content, the more I like it.
Right, very cool. Everybody has their own character from, you know, every race in D&D, elves, dwarves, even humans. It's very, very original. So what made you want to take the step from drawing as a hobby to drawing professionally?
Well, when I was young, my uncle actually was a comic book artist and my mother was a fashion designer. So I had a lot of artwork kind of pushed at me a lot of the time. Plus, growing up in the 80s, we had so many different influences from different cartoons, Thundercats, Silverhawks, all these big, great cartoons that would come out. And once it came up into the 90s, you had such wonderful illustrators like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, that were just really pushing the envelope and kind of like showing us what, you know, could be with all this art. And because of that, I just got swept away in the beauty of creation, basically.
Right. And so there are a lot of artists out there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you set yourself apart?
Well, that was actually a big challenge for myself. We have a lot of different influences for me personally. I have been trained by different people such as Ryan Benjamin, Mr. Sean Cheese Galloway, who have very different styles, but you can still see many of their styles reflected in my art, as a matter of fact. So the more you work, little things, and it's actually mistakes, are what give you a look and set you apart from different artists.
That's very cool. So in a couple words, how would you describe your career as an artist?
Difficult.
Difficult?
Difficult.
Lots of hard work.
Fun, but difficult.
Right. Well, thank you very much. In a minute here, we're going to be heading to a small commercial break. Before that, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching and stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to OC Spotlight. I'm Jack Holmes, and joining me is Daniel Blue Rodriguez. So, Blue, you've been illustrating for a long time now. Could you tell me a little bit about your progression?
So I started off doing a lot of different work. Obviously, you go through college, you do all your artwork there. But I started going to Comic Cons, and from the Comic Cons, I started working with professional illustrators. Now, they would have a lot of different classes during the Comic Con, and they would have me do assigned tasks and complete them. And then that got me into a little bit of ghost penciling, which whenever they can't finish something, you would do a little work for them and stuff. And then from that, I progressed into concept work. Now, concept work, you get to do all the original designs, you get to do all the different things from there. And from that, I started pushing myself in that direction, because that's a little more concise to what I want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to draw professionally?
Actually, to be honest, it was probably my parents. They've always been very supportive, and my mother, being such a great fashion designer, she always really pushed me into doing what I feel was something that really represented me.
Very cool. And along this journey, what have been some challenges that you've faced?
Finding myself along the way, finding my own voice in my art. I feel like every single artist has like a thumbprint or something that makes it unique to them. Like when you see one of their drawings, oh, that's this person, that's that person. So finding that niche for myself was probably one of the roughest things.
All right. And tell me, if you were able to talk with your younger self, yourself as a child, watching these cartoons, reading these comics, and looking up to these artists, would your younger self believe you if you told him that you would one day be a professional artist?
Oh, 100% no. There's no way I would believe myself, no. I've never been the person with like talent.
Right.
Everything that every accomplishment that I've ever gotten is because I put pen to paper.
Right.
And worked really hard.
Right, lots of practice.
I just don't think my younger self would have ever believed something like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad you came. That's all for today. This has been OC Spotlight. I'm Jack Holmes, your host, and hope to see you next time.